Is Idaho racist? No. You have small towns and there's some people, but that doesn't, let's get into the video. Welcome to another episode of Living Life in North Idaho. If you are interested in knowing more about what it's like living, eating, working, playing, and buying real estate here in Idaho, this is the right channel for you. Go ahead and tap the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so every time I come out with a new video, you get notified. And if you are serious about getting moved here, feel free to reach out at the phone number or email address listed below, day, nights, weekends. We have people every single day reaching out with questions about what it's really like living here, or they're serious about getting moved here and they need someone to help make that happen. We absolutely love it. So if this is you, reach out day, nights, weekends. It does not matter. So is Idaho really racist? Boy, I wish I could just give this a simple yes or no answer. And I know that by making a video, I am playing with fire because of the culture that we're in right now and what's going on in the world, but this is a really important topic. And if you're moving to a place and you are a person of color or you don't want to be associated with racists, you definitely want to know the answer to this question. I have people commenting on my YouTube channel all of the time, making accusations. Idaho's extremely racist. Don't move there. If you're black or a person of color, all they have is racists and potatoes there. And I get it. I know that Idaho has that reputation and there is a reason for it, but it's not a simple yes or no answer. There's a lot of factors we need to look at so that you fully understand why it has that reputation and what it's really like here today. So to start this video, I'm going to talk about the origin story, why Idaho has that reputation, how that came about, what the real story is, what the media portrayed and what really took place, my experience of living here during that time, what it's like living here now if you're a person of color, and what you can expect if you get moved here. So let's dive in. Story starts in 1970. A man by the name of Richard Butler drove through Idaho, went to Hayden, found some land and went, yes, this is where God wants me to build my church of hate. He started a church of Aryan nations. Now that's an important detail, but I want you to remember, because I'm going to explain that later on how that allowed this to happen. So he got together, brought in a group of guys, bought like 20 acres up on Hayden, and started to spread this message of hate, trying to say that the Holocaust didn't exist and that white people are God's chosen people, which, I don't know, I read the Bible, that doesn't seem to be a thing, but this was what was being spread around here. Now, why was it allowed to exist here in Idaho? The media actually got a hold of this and started putting out this message that Idaho is a safe haven for racists because we weren't kicking them out. We weren't doing enough in their opinions to push them out. But there's this little thing called the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And because they were a church, they had the freedom to practice their religion and also freedom of speech. So I know in today's culture, there's kind of this trend of going, no. If you are talking this way, no rights for you. And sure, that's a really quick way of getting your way. But these people here in Idaho were a lot smarter than that because they realized, man, if we do that to this group, even though it seems so clear and righteous to do that, that can be done on other groups. And maybe they're not a hate group. Maybe in the future, it's just a group that some people don't like and they use this strategy because we set a precedence. We're not going to do that. So what was Richard Butler and these guys doing that made it so bad? Well, they were out there handing out tracts, they were recruiting people, and they started doing parades downtown Sherman Avenue. I saw one of them. I was there. It was absolutely wild. So again, the media got a hold of this and was showing it. It was in the press, and that's how Idaho got that reputation. But there's a part of the story that the media did not cover, and I actually didn't know about it until I did research on it a while back. And there was actually a group of locals that got together and created a coalition to strategize and put into action ways to diminish the impact that that Richard Butler and the Aryan Nation was having here in North Idaho, and to eventually find a way to get rid of them without shredding the Constitution. Now, that did not get covered by the media, and that totally changes the story, right? Because sure, if a state goes, it's fine, let them be, yeah, you can lump them in and going, you're racist supporters, right? At least you're sympathizers. But knowing that there were civilians, there were people here in our population that were actively working against it, that's a very different story, in my opinion. And what they were doing, I got to share because this is really impressive. Very smart people. They went outside of Sherman Avenue, outside of downtown, and they asked businesses, please give a significant discount for people to come buy from your shop or play at your entertainment park or whatever it might be during this parade so that it draws people away from downtown, minimizes the impact. They also got some wealthy donors and other businesses to donate. Every single minute they were down there with their parade, they were donating money. And one year they raised $34,000 that went to human rights activist groups, which is, in my opinion, pretty cool. So kind of gave that message, sure, you guys can have your parade, but just so you know, we are actively countering what you are doing. And these people that were doing this was not without cost and risk. One of them was bombed. There was a bomb that went off. Unfortunately, the police were not able to tie it back with the Aryan Nations. There were threats, and ultimately what ended up happening, the result of this was a Native American family was driving by the compound. Their car backfired, and some guys from the compound came running out and started shooting at the car. They got sued. The family won the compound, won the land, put them out of business, and they ended up selling it to a philanthropist, and that philanthropist donated it. But first, put a moratorium on it so no one could live or develop that land for 20 years. Again, the media barely hit on this fact. So this spread throughout the country and even the world that little North Idaho was a safe haven for racists. And for me, growing up in this, even though there was a victory over them being here and getting them out, the impact had been done. I had seen people, young men in full-blown Nazi uniforms outside of the Silver Lake Mall trying to recruit people. They were down at the skate park. I used to be a skater. Shaved heads, swastikas on their bodies, tattoos, trying to recruit people. And unfortunately, there's young, impressionable minds, especially in a small town when there's not a lot of education, not a lot of diversity, not a lot of opportunity. Some of the young men that I knew fell into that lie and started adopting that language and those behaviors. And unfortunately, that led them down a bad path. One of the guys that I went to high school with went to prison a couple of times. The other guys have had issues just growing up. I think that sometimes you can get these ideas that are more of a virus. And that was my experience growing up here. So when I would go and travel and I'd tell people I'm from North Idaho, they'd go, "Oh, you're a racist." I'm like, no, I'm not. I know it has that reputation, but that is the history of why it has that reputation. So let's fast forward. Internet, social media growth. That really changed the environment for North Idaho. Yes, I used to hear old men and young men too saying racist things, racist jokes, and that was kind of the culture here for a while. But because of the internet, because of technology, because of more accountability, that has really gone away. It has been a very long time since I've been around somebody who even says a racist joke. It's just not in good taste anymore because of our past and because of the culture that we're in. So overall, the culture has changed significantly for the better, but it's not everywhere in Idaho. That change came from growth and technology and social media and accountability that doesn't exist in every town in North Idaho. The smaller the town, the less diversity, the worse the education, the more common those kind of beliefs are. And I don't know if you can ever get rid of racism because racism is a belief. And when you completely eradicate a belief, you can oftentimes become worse than what the belief was, because you are oppressing and controlling people and removing their freedom of speech. And yes, freedom of speech does have a cost to it. And in my opinion, it's out of pure ignorance. But I'm not going to be the person who tries to cancel somebody's life because they're holding on to outdated and ignorant beliefs. Now, not everybody's going to agree with that. That's fine. But I just want to let people know that the smaller the town you go to, the more likely you might run into that. Now, I'm just a young guy that's white, right? How can I possibly say what your experience is going to be if you're a person of color? My experience is probably going to be different than yours. But I have asked my clients that are people of color that have come to town, and I will ask them, hey, I get asked this a lot. Obviously, I have my experience. What has your experience been? And they tell me, Trent, this is better than where we came from, which was really surprising because they're coming from LA. They're coming from Philadelphia, Chicago, Seattle, New York, right? Where there's a lot of diversity. And they're the ones who tell me, it's just ignorance, Trent. Like, you're not going to get rid of that, right? There's no way to get rid of it, but you just have to be strong and you have to keep educating people. And the better a town gets, the more it grows, the more likely that's going to go by the wayside. And I also want to say that because Idaho has this stain in their past, people are a lot more aware and alert to it, and a lot more conscientious to not let that back in. And the police are very aware as well, because that, obviously, if that gets brought back in here, that only further tarnishes the reputation of Idaho, and we really don't want that. So I can't make any guarantees about the experience that you'll have, but I can only give you this information in hopes that that provides you enough insight for you to still want to come, check this place out, and decide for yourself, are people here in Idaho really racist, or do we just have a few foolish idiots that are holding on to outdated, hateful beliefs? And I do want to say, guys, when I go to these small towns, even I get looked at and get comments, right? Now, obviously, that's not based on racism. That's just based on me looking, talking, and maybe acting differently than they do. It's just the small town culture. But I totally understand if you're a person of color and you're getting treated like that, you're human, right? We're human. We're going to go to what we think is the most obvious reason why something is happening, but that's not always true. I hope I did a good enough job answering this question. Obviously, it's a tricky subject to discuss, but hopefully by knowing the past, my experience, and what it's like now, you can make your own decision on whether Idaho is the right place for you or not. And if you think it might be, reach out with a phone call, text, or email, day, nights, weekends. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and leave me a comment letting me know if some of this information is new to you, if you knew that there was a coalition that actively worked against and fought the Aryan nations to try to get them out of Idaho or not. And until the next one, I'll see you later.